Have you ever gone through an entire day and at the end of it realized that you weren't really there for any of it? So, this happens to all of us. It's taken me many years to learn how to manage it myself. And it's important work. The reason I learned to do it is because when you think about it, being physically and mentally present isn't just important for our careers, it's just as important for enjoying day to day life as well. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you what are the top things that I do when I realize I'm not feeling present. Because when I don't feel present, it's usually because I'm overloaded and because I'm starting to neglect doing all the things that actually keep me grounded. And today I'm sharing with you what those things are. So stick around.
You're listening to The Next Step with Corrie Lo, where we transform overwhelm into confident action. I'm Corrie Lo, keynote speaker, coach, and working mama of four, here to help ambitious women just like you take the next step, whether that be leadership at work, at home, or in your community. Let's get started.
As I mentioned before, this happens to me on a regular basis. It happened as recently as a couple of days ago when my husband asked me how my day went and I completely spaced out. There were other times that I remember too, where I would be like so excited to get home from work and give my son a bath when he was a baby that it was all I could think about when I was at work. And then when I was finally there and actually giving him the bath and doing all the things that I was so excited to do all day, all I kept thinking about was my to-do list at work. Right. So there's multiple different ways that you can determine that you're not feeling present. Here are some of the things that I've noticed over the years that are really my warning signs that it's time to rein it in and get grounded again. First is when you're rushing from one thing to the next. Like you're not really taking note of what it is that's going on right now. You're thinking about all the things that you need to do in the future. Next one is when your mind is running constantly and you're not actually absorbing anything, right? So, like my day that I described the other day, I was on the run. I know I got a lot of stuff done, but then when called to task on what it was I got done, I couldn't recall any of it. And then lastly, there are times when I feel physically exhausted. And as a result of feeling physically exhausted, it makes it that much more difficult for me to be emotionally connected. And as a result, I disconnect. One concept I talk about all the time here is my framework called the overwhelm culprits. And one of the top culprits, actually, it's the top one anytime I give a keynote or a workshop and we poll the audience. I have a great free quiz that you can take on this too. We'll make sure we drop it in the comments below. But every time we do it, lack of conditioning is always one of the top culprits. Lack of conditioning is how you take care of both your physical and your mental health and wellness. So it's directly tied to that. Now, your presence, your ability to remain fully present in the moment disappears when we stop taking action on all the things that help keep us regulated, which are all in this self care conditioning kind of bucket. So it's taken me several years at this point to figure this out. But if I'm starting to not feel present and I'm starting to feel disconnected, it's because I've stopped doing all the things that actually make me feel like myself, that I actually find helpful for it. So here are 5 different things that I purposely do, and I've done them very recently. I'm going to share some examples on different things that I implement when I know I'm not feeling present. So, number 1 is to create more space in my calendar. So, presence requires having margin. So, if every single moment of my day is booked, then my brain is never going to get the chance to slow down that it needs. So, one of the very, very first things that I did the other night after having the conversation with my husband on the couch, I went through and I looked at my calendar, and it's no wonder I was feeling so disconnected because every single space I was so overbooked with phone calls that were pre-scheduled and all the different weeks leading up to today. And that was before I had signed my book deal. And now I need time to write the book. So my calendar is literally maxed out with like phone calls and having barely any time to do the deep creative focus work that I need to be doing. So it's no wonder that I'm starting to feel disconnected and stressed out. And I'm carrying that subconsciously. So one of the very first things that I did was I went in and I started to clear out time I asked my assistant to maybe move some of the appointments to later in the week to help me have more capacity and more space. Another thing I'll do that I find really helpful, especially if you are super like self-aware that it's becoming difficult to be like present in the current moment. And that's to spend some more time outdoors. So for me, I'm so grateful right now. I'm from New York. It's starting to get a little bit warmer out, which will make it easier to do this. But sometimes just a quick 5-minute walk around the block can be so helpful. And when I do this too, I make it a point to leave my AirPods at home. I don't wear any earbuds. I don't listen to any podcasts. I don't listen to any books. I don't listen to any music. And the reason why is because I'm using that walk to reset myself, to really feel the warmth of the sun on my face, to listen to the birds as they're chirping, to see the car as it drives down the road. Taking myself out of my space indoors and into the outdoors is very helpful, that like shift in space and helping me get more grounded in the current moment at that moment. Another thing that I'll do is I'll start to prioritize more movement. So, one of the things that I'd actually noticed looking at my calendar, because it's been such a crazy speaking month for me, the month of March was nuts. So, I haven't had as much time to exercise as I normally would. And when I say exercise, really, I really focus on movement. So, for me, the priority is getting 3 hours a week of some sort of movement. That could be walking on my walking pad at my desk, it could be riding my Peloton, it could be taking a yoga class. I just try to move my body for at least that amount of time each week. And a lot of times, if I am not feeling fully present, it's because I started slacking off on making sure that I was doing that movement. So that's definitely one of the things I look to address. Another thing that I find really helpful if I'm feeling very disconnected is to start meditating again. So, 9 times out of 10, if I'm having a lot of difficulty and I'm thinking about everything in the future, it's because I haven't taken the time to meditate. This for me is such a crucial practice. If you're not familiar with meditation, it's basically just exercise for your brain. And I'm happy to do another episode on meditation specifically if that's something you're interested in. So feel free to drop that in the comments. But for today, I'm not going to deep dive into it, but I'll give you like a very high level overview. So, as an example, for me in my meditation practice, I will at the beginning of each morning set aside, for me, it's usually 3 or 6 minutes, but you could do as little as 1 minute. You could do as long as an hour. There are people that meditate for a full day if you're a monk. But for me, the 3 to 6 minutes works great. And in that time frame, I close my eyes and I really just focus on my breath. You could focus on sensations within your body, how you feel. Some days it just feels better and more grounding for me to be focused on my surroundings, listening to the bird chirping outside, or maybe I hear my cat walking or drinking water out of her bowl. So that helps me become more present and grounded as well. So the meditation is definitely helpful for this. And really, this was the primary tool that I used all those years ago when I was feeling so disconnected, giving my son a bath and thinking about what I still had to do at the office. So I was really able to do a lot of work on learning how to really check in and be present using just meditation alone. And that's just one of many of the things I'm sharing with you today. The fifth one, and probably the most important, is getting time alone. You may have heard me speak or give a workshop on this, but I often refer to this as purposeful solitude. And it's really important to have time by yourself for yourself to give you the space that you need to, number one, be able to do different activities like I'm describing today that help center you, but also to help do things that spark joy and creativity and help you clear your mind during times of stress. So, one example that I always share, and I would love to hear of a famous female entrepreneur or leader that does this. So, if you know somebody, drop it in the comments so I know. But the best example that's fairly well known is Bill Gates. Every couple of months, he rents out a cabin in the woods and just goes and reads. And that's all he does. He's by himself, he reads books, and that's how he resets himself. This is a practice that I started doing myself many years ago. And I'll find if I'm starting to feel like I'm not present and I'm starting to disconnect a bit, one of the quickest ways that I can bring myself back into that is by taking that time. And I'm usually not taking this time if I'm starting to feel connected, if you get the gist. When this happened recently this past week, I decided, you know what? I am going to take a day next week where I'm maybe going to take the afternoon when the kids are in school and I'm going to go thrifting. I love thrifting. It's one of my favorite things to go do. So it doesn't have to be a self-care activity like going for a massage or getting your nails done. It could just be something that you just straight up enjoy. So that's definitely something that's helped me get more present and in the moment when you're actually going to do things that you like. And it's helpful too, because it creates that time and space for you to think and actually process everything that's going on by not being required to do something that's on your task list. Purposeful solitude, highly recommend it. Now, remember, when it comes to feeling fully present, it's not about doing more, right? I know I just threw a lot of different activities on things that you can do, but it's not about doing more. It's about removing what's blocking you from feeling right here, right now, which all the 5 things that I just shared, I know those are all activities that help me specifically connect with myself. Right. So to recap everything I shared today, I gave you all the 5 specific things that I do to reconnect with myself and feel fully present again. And that includes creating more space in my calendar. It includes spending more time outdoors. It includes prioritizing movement, whether that be yoga or exercising, or even just walking on my walking pad while I check my email. It includes meditation, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. And it includes making sure that I am spending alone time. I would actually love to know, of the 5 different strategies I shared to become more present, which one are you going to test out first? Drop it in the comments, or better yet, if you actually know of one that works better that I have not mentioned, share that in the comments too.
Thanks for checking out The Next Step with Corrie Lo. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a review. Together, we'll transform overwhelm into action, and we'll keep taking the next step towards confident leadership. See you next time.